Right now, you have hundreds, maybe thousands of people attached to your digital life. You see their vacations, their lunches, and their major life updates with a single swipe. You call them your network, your followers, or your friends. But biologically, almost every single one of them is a complete stranger to your brain. Think about the last time you scrolled through your contact list or a social media feed. You recognize the faces and remember the names, but if you look closer, a strange emptiness appears. You realize that out of those hundreds of digital connections, you only actually talk to a handful. If your car broke down at 3 in the morning, or if your world came crashing down tomorrow, you know exactly how many of those people you could actually call. It is a tiny single-digit number. You might think this contraction is a personal defect. You tell yourself that you are drifting apart from people, that you are getting older and lazier, or that modern life has simply drained your social energy. You look at influencers with millions of followers and popular peers with overflowing group chats, and you feel like you are failing at the human game. But the real answer is far stranger. Your isolation is not a modern glitch. It is an ancient evolutionary feature. Your brain operates on a strict, unyielding budget that was finalized hundreds of thousands of years ago. You are attempting to run a hyper-connected global social network on physical hardware designed for a small, nomadic clan. Every time you try to force your mind to care about 300 different people, you are fighting a losing war against your own anatomy. There is a rigid ceiling built directly into the gray matter of your head, a mathematical boundary that determines exactly how many humans you can truly know. And if you cross that line, your mind simply shuts the door, leaving you surrounded by a crowd of digital ghosts while your inner circle remains exactly the same size it was when your ancestors hunted mammoths. To understand why your brain enforces this strict limit, you have to look at the physical size of your head. In the 1990s, a British anthropologist named Dr. Robin Dunbar noticed a strange pattern among primates. He spent years studying monkeys and apes, tracking how they maintained their societies. Primates don't have digital networks. They maintain relationships through physical grooming. They pick pests off each other, clean each other's fur, and sit together. This grooming isn't just about hygiene, it is a form of social currency. It signals trust, allegiance, and safety. But Dunbar noticed a major problem. Grooming takes immense time and physical energy. A baboon cannot spend 24 hours a day grooming every single member of a massive troop, or it would starve. So, primate group sizes are strictly limited by how much time they can afford to spend bonding. Then, Dunbar looked closer at the brain itself. Specifically, he focused on the neocortex, which is the massive, wrinkled outer layer of the brain responsible for complex thought, conscious choices, and social interaction. He calculated the neocortex ratio, which is the size of this social processing unit compared to the rest of the brain. When he plotted the data, he discovered a startling, mathematically precise rule. The larger a primate species' neocortex, the larger its typical social group. If a troop grows too large for its brain size, the social fabric tears. Chaos erupts, alliances break down, and the group splits into smaller factions. The brain simply runs out of computing power to keep track of who is friends with whom, who owes a favor, and who can be trusted. When Dunbar took the human neocortex ratio and plugged it into this exact same evolutionary formula, the math pointed to one definitive number: 150. This is Dunbar's number. It is the theoretical cognitive limit for the number of people you can maintain stable social relationships with. It is the absolute maximum number of faces you can match to names while fully understanding how every single one of them relates to you. Your brain did not evolve to handle a world of billions of interconnected souls. It evolved to handle a single, isolated village. This maximum limit of 150 is not a flat, uniform crowd. Your brain organizes this biological village into a series of highly structured, concentric circles, expanding outward from your deep emotional core. Each layer requires a massive amount of mental energy to maintain, and each layer has a strict mathematical cap. The first and most critical circle contains just 5 people. This is your support group. These are your true pillars, the people you love most, and the ones you can call at 3 in the morning when your world is falling apart. Your brain allocates an enormous portion of its social neocortex budget just to keep these 5 connections healthy, because losing even one of them leaves an agonizing emotional void. Directly outside of this core is the next circle, capped tightly at 15 people. This is your sympathy group. These are your close friends. You trust them, you see them often, and you care about their lives deeply. If one of them moved away or vanished from your life, you would feel a profound sense of personal grief. The circles continue to expand outward, but as they grow, the emotional intensity drops sharply. The next layer holds roughly 50 people, representing your casual friends. These are the faces you welcome to a party, the co-workers you happily chat with by the water cooler, and the people you enjoy spending time with, though you rarely share your deepest secrets or darkest fears with them. Finally, you reach the outer boundary at 150 people. This is your personal tribe. Beyond this threshold, your cognitive computing power breaks down completely. Anyone living outside this ultimate circle is treated by your ancient hardware as a total stranger, a nameless face in the crowd, or an irrelevant data point. This tiered architecture has remained completely unchanged for millennia. Archaeologists tracking ancient hunter-gatherer societies found that their seasonal camps naturally maxed out at roughly 150 people. Roman military units, known as companies, were intentionally kept around 150 men because commanders knew soldiers would fight fiercely for people they personally recognized and trusted. Even modern corporations find that when a factory or office exceeds 150 employees, people stop working together and start forming hostile factions. Pause for a moment and audit your own reality. If your entire life collapsed tonight, how many people do you honestly believe would stand by your side? Leave that exact number in the comments below, and watch how closely your modern life still mirrors this ancient, unyielding arithmetic. Now, look at your modern screen. Digital platforms were designed to shatter these ancient boundaries. They promised you a global village where you could connect with thousands of people effortlessly. But this creates a profound, exhausting illusion. Silicon Valley did not change your biological hardware. It simply overwhelmed it. In the 1970s, a sociologist named Dr. Mark Granovetter published a famous study on the strength of weak ties. He showed that casual acquaintances, the people living outside your close circles, are incredibly valuable. They introduce you to new ideas, job opportunities, and different perspectives that your closest friends cannot provide. Because your core circle shares your exact same world, your weak ties act as vital bridges to the outside universe. But there is a dangerous twist to how this plays out in the digital age. Your brain was built to handle a few dozen weak ties at most, and to interact with them only occasionally. Modern social media has taken those casual, distant connections and forced them into your face every single second of the day. You are now tracking the daily dramas, opinions, and vacations of hundreds of people you barely know. This triggers a hidden cognitive crisis. Every time you view an acquaintance's post, your neocortex spends a tiny fraction of its limited social energy trying to process their emotional state, evaluate their status, and keep track of their personal narrative. Your ancient mind thinks these people are part of your actual survival tribe, so it forces you to care. You are burning your precious finite social currency on people who would not look twice if you passed them on the street. You are essentially over-allocating your entire biological budget to the outermost ring of your village, leaving your actual inner core starved of attention. This is why you can spend hours interacting with hundreds of people online and still feel completely, desperately lonely when you lock your screen. You have exhausted your social processor on an audience of casual observers, while your 5 foundational pillars are left neglected in the dark. The solution to this modern exhaustion is not to delete your profiles or hide from the world entirely. It is to change how you measure your social success. You need to stop viewing your small inner circle as a personal failure and start recognizing it as your greatest evolutionary superpower. Your brain was never designed to be popular on a global scale. It was designed to protect, nurture, and deeply understand a tiny, chosen family. When you stop trying to keep up with the endless noise of your digital periphery, you free up the massive cognitive energy required to feed your true core. You can choose to intentionally invest your limited biological budget back into the 5 people who actually matter. You can trade the shallow validation of 100 double taps for the profound, life-saving security of a single late-night conversation.
So, the next time you open your phone and scroll through a sea of endless updates from hundreds of distant acquaintances, look past the numbers. Remind yourself that your brain has already made its choice and that its budget is full. You do not need a global empire of followers to survive this world. You just need your ancient tribe. Because tonight, when the screen goes dark and your day finally comes to an end, the vast digital crowd will vanish completely. And you will be left with the exact same handful of names your ancestors depended on to survive the long, cold night. So, just focus on the ones that count, the select few you're biologically meant to be with. Subscribe for more interesting doodles coming your way. Ever wondered why you can't stop thinking about the past? Click on my video link above to find out.